Welcome. There are top 12 headlines today. Here's the details.
First headline. Nigeria police says 80 abducted congregants return home. Christian group disputes claim. At least 80 people earlier thought to have been kidnapped from 3 churches in Kaduna State on January 18th have returned to their homes, according to the police, who say fresh inquiries showed they fled to nearby villages during the attack and only came back when they felt safe. Police have invited them to the Kaduna State Police Headquarters for identity checks, health screening, and verification. However, the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, disputes the police account, saying it has no information confirming these returnees and maintains that most of the 177 worshippers taken remain missing, except for 11 who escaped earlier and are in hospital. The incident highlights ongoing mass abductions by armed gangs in northern Nigeria, where kidnappings for ransom are widespread and security forces are under pressure to act.
Second headline. Again, Peter Obi rejects VP role, declares 2027 presidential bid. Former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi has firmly declared his intention to run for President of Nigeria in the 2027 general election, saying he will seek the top job and not accept a vice presidential role. He made the announcement while speaking to supporters at an African Democratic Congress event in Abuja, stressing that his political goal is to secure the party's presidential ticket and be the principal candidate rather than a subordinate. Obi tied local council election support to his broader national ambitions and urged party members to back the ADC candidate, saying success at the grassroots would help his wider mission. Supporters within his Obedient movement are pressing for him to be the ADC standard-bearer, though other senior politicians, including former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and former Minister Rotimi Amaichi, are also seen as contenders within the coalition.
Third headline. Peter Obi slams Tinubu over 114 trillion naira spending and poor budget execution. Former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi has sharply criticised President Bola Tinubu's handling of Nigeria's public finances, accusing the administration of fiscal recklessness and poor budget execution. In a recent statement on X, Obi said the Tinubu government has overseen over 114 trillion naira in appropriations since 2023, covering the 2023, 2024 and 2025 budgets, yet less than half of that has actually been implemented. He criticized the practice of running multiple overlapping budgets without clear legal timelines, calling it abnormal and harmful to fiscal discipline. Obi also accused the government of lacking transparency, citing the absence of published Treasury reports and budget implementation data, and warned that such practices undermine credibility and hinder Nigeria's economic progress.
Fourth headline. Court halts planned labor protest in Abuja, restrains NLC TUC. A national industrial court in Abuja has issued an interim order restraining the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, the Trade Union Congress, TUC, and several union leaders from going ahead with a planned protest or any form of industrial action in the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, on Tuesday, February 3rd. The ruling came on Monday after an ex parte application by the Federal Capital Territory Minister, Nyesom Wike, and the FCT administration, who argued the demonstration could disrupt public order, obstruct traffic, and violate earlier court orders. Those restrained include key officers of the unions, and the court also directed security agencies to maintain law and order in the capital, pending further hearing of the case. The restraining order was granted under suit number NICN/ABJ/30/26, and the matter is now adjourned for further proceedings. Fifth headline: Lagos government to creators feature children in harmful online content and go to prison. The Lagos State government has issued a strong warning to content creators, social media influencers, skit makers, and digital media producers that using children in online content that harms their dignity, safety, or well-being is illegal and punishable by law. The caution was made in a joint statement by the state's Commissioner for Youth and Social Development and the Executive Secretary of the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency, expressing concern over the growing trend of minors appearing in harmful or exploitative digital material. Officials referenced the Lagos State Child's Rights Law 2015, the Criminal Law of Lagos State 2015, and the Cybercrimes Prohibition, Prevention, etc. Act, which collectively prohibit exploitative child labor, abuse, and child pornography. Under these laws, producing, distributing, or profiting from content that sexualizes, endangers, or exploits children constitutes a criminal offense, with some provisions carrying potential prison terms up to 14 years for offenders. The government reaffirmed the zero tolerance on child abuse and said it will work with law enforcement to enforce compliance, urging creators to respect children's rights and refrain from harmful portrayals.
Sixth headline: Onitsha market traders defy IPOB's sit-at-home order, reopen shops. Traders at the Onitsha main market in Anambra State defied a sit-at-home order linked to a faction of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, by reopening their shops on Monday after about a week of shutdown. The market had been closed following traders' compliance with repeated sit-at-home directives that previously paralyzed business on Mondays, and Governor Chukwuma Soludo had ordered the closure and warned of sanctions if shops didn't reopen. On Monday, many traders resumed business early, setting up stalls across major sections of the market, and in some areas, customers began patronizing shops as normal as activities returned. Security was visibly increased, and the governor personally visited the market, urging traders to sustain the momentum and declaring Anambra open for business, signaling a potential end to the prolonged Monday sit-at-home tradition that has hindered economic activity in the region.
Seventh headline: Factional PDP BOT urges restraint, endorses Abdul Rahman-led caretaker body amid leadership crisis. A factional board of trustees of the People's Democratic Party has appealed to members to exercise restraint, unity, and patience amid the ongoing leadership crisis rocking the party, urging strict adherence to court orders and respect for legal processes. Speaking at the 85th BOT meeting in Abuja, BOT Chairman Senator Mao Ohuanwa described the moment as a critical juncture for the party and called on elders to act as stabilizing forces rather than deepen divisions. The faction formally endorsed the Muhammad Abdul Rahman-led National Caretaker Committee as the legitimate administrative body of the PDP and backed its cautious approach to reorganizing the party ahead of a planned national convention in March, stressing that internal disputes should be resolved within the rule of law to safeguard the party's future.
Eighth headline: APC dismisses ADC's claims on coercion of civil servants. The All Progressives Congress, APC, has rejected claims by the African Democratic Congress, ADC, that it is coercing civil servants to join its ongoing electronic membership registration exercise.
In a statement on Monday, the APC's National Publicity Secretary, Felix Morca, described the allegation as false, baseless, and part of a disinformation campaign by the opposition, saying participation in the e-registration process is entirely voluntary and driven by enthusiasm from Nigerians impressed with the party's renewed hope agenda. The APC also accused the ADC of being intimidated by the high turnout of registrants and reiterated that it will continue its digital drive to expand its membership without any coercion.
Ninth headline. FG tasks Ondo on tax reforms, urges harmonization to curb illegal levies. The federal government has called on the Ondo state government to adopt and implement the new national tax reforms laws that took effect on January 1, 2026, and to align its fiscal policies with the federal framework to strengthen revenue systems and eliminate illegal taxation practices. At a public lecture in Akure, Taiwo Oyedele, chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, urged Ondo to enact a state tax harmonization law to curb nuisance and unauthorized levies that burden businesses and citizens, and to host a tax ombuds office for the Southwest to protect taxpayer rights. He also recommended that the state introduce annual tax accountability reports for transparency and develop a comprehensive fiscal policy to guide revenue mobilization, spending, and debt management, while encouraging local councils to plan and publish economic data to improve accountability. 10th headline. FG, states, and LGAs share 1.969 trillion naira as revenue allocation for December 2025. The Federation Account Allocation Committee, FAAC, announced that a total of 1.969 trillion naira in revenue generated for December 2025 was distributed among the federal government, state governments, and local government councils at its January 2026 meeting in Abuja. The total distributable figure was made up of 1.084 trillion naira in statutory revenue, 846.507 trillion naira from value-added tax, VAT, and 38.110 trillion naira from the Electronic Money Transfer Levy, EMTL, drawn from a gross revenue pool of 2.585 trillion naira before deductions. After setting aside 104.697 trillion naira for collection costs and 511.855 trillion naira for transfers, refunds, and savings, the remaining 1.969 trillion naira was shared 653.500 trillion naira to the federal government, 706.469 trillion naira to the 36 states, and 513.272 trillion naira to local government councils. In addition, 96.083 trillion naira was allocated as 13% derivation revenue to oil-producing states. 11th headline. Oyo State marks Golden Jubilee as government orders half-day work Tuesday. The Oyo State government has directed all government offices across the state to close by 12 noon on Tuesday, February 3, 2026, to allow public servants to participate in activities marking Oyo's 50th anniversary, Golden Jubilee, since its creation on February 3, 1976. Governor Seyi Makinde approved the early closure as part of the week-long Oyo State at 50 celebrations. Heads of ministries, departments, and agencies, MDAs, were instructed to ensure compliance and provide skeletal services where necessary.
The directive comes as Oyo wraps up several commemorative events reflecting on its history and achievements over the past 5 decades.
12th headline. Lookman completes move to Atletico Madrid. Super Eagles forward Ademola Lookman has officially completed a high-profile transfer from Italian club Atalanta to Atletico Madrid in Spain's La Liga, signing a long-term contract through June 2030. Atletico agreed a deal worth around €35 million plus up to €5 million in add-ons, making Lookman one of the most expensive Nigerian players in history. The 28-year-old winger arrived in Madrid, passed his medical, and put pen to paper just before the winter transfer window closed. Lookman scored a remarkable hat-trick for Atalanta in the 2024 Europa League final and brings pace, versatility, and European experience to Diego Simeone's squad as they bolster their attacking options. And that brings us to the end of the news. If you found this update helpful, please like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to our channel for timely, accurate news and analysis. Turn on notifications so you never miss an update.